We move on to our second album, which is If You Wanted a Picture by Blondshell. This was our poll winner, so thank you for your votes. Kylie, I think this was your poll pick.
Yeah, I think it was. We talked about 2 years ago, Sabrina Teitelbaum, her debut record, self-titled Blondshell. I don't remember. I think that was a top 3 record for me and easily my favorite debut of that year. And so, I was pretty happy to so quickly get another record from her here. And you know, I think if you were into the self-titled one, you're going to be into this. This still is very 90s uh worshiping. This album reminds me a lot of, Hole's Celebrity Skin in some ways. It's very confessional. I appreciate Sabrina Teitelbaum's honesty with everything and the way that she kind of lays it all out in every single song, what she's feeling and, you know, what's going on around her. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Uh, I think early feedback from the three of us is a little slow getting in, and TNA, which was the second single, I think is still kind of one of the weaker songs on here. Um, so it's kind of an interesting single, but I think there's a good recovery here, and yeah, really solid. I think if anything, I was digging into the credits and same producer, same studio as the first record. Um, different mixer on this record, and for me, this one is kind of below the debut because of that commercial sheen that's kind of throughout this record. I liked Blondshell's rawness, musically on the first record, and I think lyrically, this is still a very raw record, but it's just a little poppy around the edges for me to be as excited as I was about that first record. But overall, I think this is a great sophomore album. It's definitely not a slump. And, you know, as we were just discussing, you never know if there's another record. I would assume she's going to have another record. And this is just one of those that makes me curious to see um, what she does next, because I think very she's done a very good job of exploring this 90s grunge with this updated pop sheen to it. But I'm kind of curious to see if there's, something a little different after this.
There we go. So great sophomore effort. Karl, are you in agreement?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we were all in agreement that, yeah, Sabrina's self-titled debut as Blondshell was one of the best, debuts of, was it 2023?
2023.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good guess. I think we had I think, because I remember, because I was like, if we had our wild card entry in that first album of the year poll, there's a good chance that would have made it in there because we were such a big fan of that record. But yeah, I think it was just a really assured collection of alt rock tracks, plenty of highlights on that record. So I remember Salad being one of my favorite songs of that year. But then you've got, Olympus, Sepsis, Veronica Mars. So many great cuts on there too. So yeah, fairly strong expectations going into this. The difficult second album, and I think she's pretty much nailed it. As Kylie says, it's another. Yeah, I'd agree. It's another kind of strong outing from Sabrina. Basically, gives fans everything they loved about that first album, but I do feel there is a natural evolution to it as well. Sonically, I'd say there's, maybe some new textures that appear. Lyrically, she's a bit more tender and heartfelt in places. And yeah, I mean, not that there weren't moments like that on the debut, but you can tell this time around, she's kind of like refined the formula a little bit. And yeah, lots of highlights again. Thumbtack I think it's a gorgeous opener. Reminds me of the Cranberries, when it gets to that chorus. I actually quite liked TNA. I thought it was, quite moody, quite catchy single. What's Fair is one of my favorites, I'd say. It's got that, what she does so well, that real, late 90s, early noughties alt rock vibe about it. Which I think, Kylie, you'll get this. It feels like a lost cut from the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack.
Yeah.
Or maybe like 10 Things I Hate About You, those kind of...
It could have been the Gigolo Ants.
Yeah, that's it. Just, could just awesome guitar work at the end of that one. And really great track. And then 2 times, I love that mandolin sound that kind of comes through. And again, we get more shades of Dolores and the Cranberries, which is never a bad thing. And then, it gets to that back end, and I just love that run of, from Change through to, I think it's Man. I think the only ones that don't really hit the same heights, there's a couple in the middle, and like the closing track, maybe do let it down slightly, but for the most part, like Kylie says, if you enjoyed the vibe and nostalgia that Sabrina created on that debut, I think you'll very much find yourself wanting to come back to this album as well. So, for me, Blondshell 2 for 2.
Yeah, and I'll say 3 for 3 off the bat. It wasn't so much the case on early listens, and I think I shared that with you guys, that I wasn't really digging it straight away. I didn't have that immediate appeal, which potentially the debut did, particularly with the kind of Veronica Mars. As soon as that sort of hit, I was like, okay, I'm into this. It's only like a minute long or whatever, that track, but that one I really, it was a complete accident, sort of getting one of these emails come through for the 5 to 9 account and going, I'll just pick a random album here, and that was ended up being a great find, and been really happy to see kind of how much that has really lifted off her career, and saw her at the end of that year, 2023, at Lafayette, and which was a great show. So the difficult second album, initially just, I suppose TNA was my first exposure, and I wasn't loving it. I think on the album I've grown to like it more than I did as a lead single. But actually, some of the other singles which have been released subsequently is where I feel the real kind of gold is on this album, and particularly the trio of Event of a Fire, 23's a Baby, and Change. That for me is kind of the best sort of part of the album. And if it had been all like that, then this would be, a serious contender in 2025. So the lyrics, as you've alluded to, continue to be, very candid. She's just looking on Wikipedia before we joined here. She's 28 years old. So this is a young woman in the limelight in her 20s, and really just letting it all out there. So but I think there's a greater maturity on this second record, and the more I listened, the more it sort of really took a hold of me. And I think you probably do get a bit of a slight evolution, which very much probably apes a lot of what you said, Kylie, in terms of I don't think she could do this again. It does feel like first album, really strong. Second album, similar kind of vibe. But I'd be intrigued to know what some different dipping her toes into different genres, what that might sound like. The lyrics are, as we've all acknowledged, are strong. So taking it to different places, I think would be interesting. Basically, probably goes alongside what you said about Nation of Language before as well, Kylie. Like just seeing if there's another musical direction which could be taken, but that's for another day. So ultimately, second album, good evolution. Some fantastic tracks on here, which really add to what she's doing. And yeah, someone who I think will continue to get stronger and one to keep an eye on for sure in her musical journey. So yeah, 3 out of 3.